Patriots, mount up. Hello, salty dogs. This is the Salty Sailor speaking to you live from my. Hello, salty. There we go. Sorry, I was having an issue with my. There we go. Patriots, mount up. Hello, salty dogs. Live stream. I'm honored to be your host, the Salty Sailor, talking to you live from my bunker here in sunny AZ. Actually, it was a little rainy today, so let's just say it's January 25th, 2021 at 7 o'clock on the dot of a new Patriot Republic. Little housekeeping items first. I have since been part of the free speech purge, so to speak. I actually had my podcast taken down. I've went and kind of tried to do other sites here and there. Hopefully Facebook Live or Facebook itself allows me to keep obviously doing podcasting. I'm also going to do YouTube as well. So hopefully going forward, I'll be able to start showing my content more. So if the episodes have gotten messed up from my podcast, this is actually episode 8, but we are now calling it episode 2 of the live stream. So here we go. It is called episode 2, New Vision. So first off, I wanted to get your kind of thoughts and opinions. I am allowing commentary obviously now, which is nice with the live stream as opposed to the podcast, but I wanted to discuss kind of the new vision going forward. Obviously, former President Trump's not going to be riding in here on a white knight or save us from the perilous daunting evil person. So we'll move on with that. However, one of the things I wanted to highlight, we're actually a week in now of the Biden administration. Again, I'm not going to refer to that. I'm going to call him more of, that guy. So his first day of president, now this is just blows my mind. He fires 10,500 people who've been working on the border wall. So those are jobs axed right away. Then he fires 12,000 people from the Keystone Pipeline and essentially pissed off Canada. And we're looking total about 50,000 jobs unemployed within his first day of his administration. Apparently the pen is mightier than the sword, so to speak. We also have, so they asked his press secretary, they're like, hey, what is he going to do about the what's going on, what's the plan? Essentially, she basically referred to it, and I don't even remember her name, to be honest with you. I just see clips. I don't watch the press secretary anymore. So basically, he's just saying that, or they are saying, the administration is saying they can find another job. So that whole Build Back Better slogan just isn't really working out for the good hard worker, is it? You reap what you sow, guys. You reap what you sow. Justin Trudeau from Canada is actually now suing Biden for the pipeline debacle. Not only did he tick off every worker that he let go, he also ticked off the Canadian president essentially, and potentially Mexico, since Mexico, Canada, and the U.S. were essentially running this pipeline together to share back and forth for energy purposes. And now we are going back to the problem is, here's the problem with this. For those sitting in the back row that, I don't know. Once we consume what we produced, we have to obviously buy oil now because we've exhausted our reserves that we have saved up since this. And we are now going to be dependent again on foreign oil, which and I know what that means is future wars in the Middle East yet again. Something that Trump kind of fixed in his presidency and was bringing troops home. I will get more into that later, but Biden's already started that process of putting troops to another country yet again. We'll get into that later in the show. Interesting news on a side note, I guess it's positivity from my end of the spectrum, but the Patriot Party started today. Supposedly, it doesn't look like Donald Trump initiated it. It looked like it was people in lieu or in, I guess, the voice of Donald Trump created this Patriot Party. To combat the GOP, obviously, and the Democratic Party. There was some weird stuff online, guys, honestly, and I'm getting kind of tired of hearing this, so I'm just going to lay it out for you and let you make your own decision as well. But essentially, obviously, the March 4th date in terms of potentially something happening. I mean, now I'm going to call it. I don't know. I don't think I'm as positive anymore about it. I'm going to just basically say that if I was the flame of a candle, I'd be, almost smoldering out on this decision here on March 4th. I just don't see it happening now, or if anything, it's very weak in my mind. But basically, in this scenario, this concept, the military declares election fraudulent. U.S. holds a new presidential election safeguarded by the military. Um, Trump runs for president as a member of the Patriot Party, effectively dissolving the GOP and, let's say, the old guard. Trump wins, becomes the first Patriot Party president. Could this happen? I mean, I'm honestly getting very dim on that. We may just have to suffer through this, guys, of a Biden presidency. I can't even fathom this. We both know that it wouldn't last long. Within 3 to 6 months, Kamala is going to try to take him out with the 25th Amendment. We both know this, or everyone knows this, hopefully. Now, I did look up, and which was interesting, on January 22nd, this was actually put on the uscode.house.gov site, basically saying that the Insurrection Act on Chapter 13 of it was enacted and signed, which means the military would actually have control of it. But again, we're not seeing that, so I don't know what that means. I'm a little confused myself on that. There's an Armed Forces, in Title 10, there's an Armed Forces clause saying that basically their powers that be, or whatever the case may be. Now, because Trump did sign let me back up, if he signed it, like everyone reported it to be, he doesn't necessarily can use the powers that his cabinet or the military or whatever could use it. So I don't know, guys. The information, has been fleeting, or who knows anymore at this point. So not to be doom and gloom, but I mean, obviously we've been asking for answers and we want proof forever. And unfortunately, I have to side now with some other people and just say until we see it, we can't really comment on it. So anyway, that's my 2 cents on that. Heard that Pentagon is still not giving Biden all his intel briefs, or I mean the guy. So I'm wondering what that is about. Again, your guess is good as mine on that. It doesn't tend to make you things that make you go, like that old rap song from back in the day. So I don't know. To me, if he was investigated for corruption, that's something that probably could be looked at. I don't know, down the road. So there's that. Now, I do know, a couple things I want to get to you here. The broken window theory. I've always believed in this. This is when I took my degree in criminal justice. We kind of looked at the theory of the broken window theory. This was done back in 1982. And I'll just read a brief thing of what it states. The broken windows theory states that visible signs of disorder and misbehavior in an environment encourage further disorder and misbehavior, leading to serious crimes. The principle was developed to explain the decay of neighborhoods, but it is often applied to work and educational environments. So here's my thought. It could be also used in a political spectrum. Hold on one second. Sorry. Basically saying it doesn't necessarily have to be a social situation. It could be like you live in a great neighborhood and all of a sudden, a broken window happens and then the house gets run down. Say someone moves out. The house gets run down, because of that one house and because the fact it wasn't taken care of. Let's say no one moves in for a little while. Then everyone's neighborhood or houses around that said house starts losing property value and it's called the decline. Then you get another house. It's kind of like, the dominoes falling, right? It just becomes, it starts evolving itself and eating itself. And the reason why I make this reference to this is I essentially see that kind of happening down the road with us. Kind of. We have allowed this kind of social upheaval or just a socialism concept adding into our United States. Like I don't understand why people want to vote for this. I don't get it, but this is what we're dealing with. So in regards to that, why I brought that up was, first of all, the voting system, right? One of Biden's, or they're trying to pass a bill in the House. The demos are basically allowing part of it, Scott. They want to allow 16-year-olds to vote. First of all, 16-year-olds, sorry, they can't. I mean, they barely know their right foot from their left foot, and we want them to vote on the presidency or senators or congressmen. I know exactly why they're doing this because they can get them in the school era and start promoting their ideals, and then it has a net effect to it, right? Or better yet, let's be honest. Let me ask anyone in the audience out there. Can we truly, truly, truly trust our voting system again? I mean, honestly, there's still court cases out there. There's still pending court cases out there. You still have all that going on, regardless of if Trump is in the White House or not. I've asked multiple people. That's a simple question I ask. Take politics out of it. Do you honestly think you can go to the voting booth and actually trust who you vote for? It almost makes you think like, oh, well, maybe not. Maybe I just not vote at all. And then what happens, right? Well, that's true. And I'm kind of leaning that way. Unless someone really blows me away with their candidacy, I mean, do you really trust someone? I mean, I wouldn't. Now, the only thing is, I will say, I will change that stance on this when I would love to see Ted Cruz run. He has like impressed me like no other after obviously he ran against Trump, but he's kind of separated himself from the pack. Like he's kind of more in line of Trump's thinking. Now again, being politicians, that could be a ploy too. Obviously, like to ride Trump's base, right? But reality, he's a constitutional lawyer, and to be honest, I rather side on the side of the Constitution than not. So, I mean, he would be a good candidate in my mind to vote for myself personally. Um, but we'll see. I'm not really too keen on the voting system, especially with all the corruption that we saw. I mean, honestly, guys, they had live video of people taking this stuff out, and their explanation is, "Oh, I'm sorry, it was just trash." Or it was recyclables. I mean, come on, really? I mean, literally right there in front of you. So, I mean, it's just the stupid stuff like that that causes me not to want to vote. And I think you're going to start seeing that. I mean, you may have younger kids voting, apparently. But, I mean, are we going to let them decide our fate or our future? That's what concerns me the most, guys. And this whole thing that Biden's pushing in terms of the transgender community that's being allowed into the military. As a former vet myself, um, I'm sorry. I think that's more of a political aspect of it, and that's more. I mean, if people don't get it, I don't know. I don't even want to comment on it because I'm afraid to offend people now, especially with a lot of what's going on and what we can and cannot say, and we're being censored even more. I learned on my podcast. I mean, literally, I wasn't even that big time. I maybe had like I don't know 10 followers if I was lucky, and they still censored me. So I mean, this is what's going on right now, guys, in America today. So who knows? I mean, I'm disappointing as far as serving this country and get treated like this. It's ridiculous. But we voted for it, so here we go. Also, make note of that as well too. Again, if I've always told everybody I've talked to that obviously I was waiting for the March 4th date. Since I'm kind of leaning on not on that, I mean, again, we have to accept our Biden as president. Unfortunately, as it pains me to say, it is what it is. I mean, we're going to have to. Hopefully, it's a quick 4 years, if Kamala doesn't take over within 3 to 6. I actually created a poll. I think it's on there, basically giving you two options. How long would it take before Kamala Harris gets into office? I think I had 3 to 6 months. And then I also had a year plus, right? Obviously, they could invoke the 25th Amendment. They've kind of been doing a little seeds here and there in terms of that. Watch out, Joe. They're coming for you. Bad boys, right? Let's see. Okay, explain this to me. And this is what really, really frustrates me with our government, honestly, guys. Okay, so Crazy Nancy, who I don't know how she keeps getting voted into office. If there was ever corruption, look at the San Francisco voting system and find out why she's even able to get into office. First of all, just like anything else, there should be a retirement age for Congress. Term limits, I've said this for the longest time. I've always wanted to see term limits. I don't think you get any fresh ideas or fresh visions on people that have been in office for 80 years. I mean, she looks like it, right? But there was a report out today that Crazy Nancy is borrowing $3 million from our Social Security fund to fund this sham impeachment trial in the Senate. It honestly makes no sense. First of all, before I even go off on a tangent, I'm trying not to. That's basically our future. She's funding for, because she doesn't care. She's gonna be dead by the time we dip into that. But she's funding this on a sham impeachment on a president that's not even seated. First of all, the part of it being impeachment is for a sitting president. So the only reason why this is done, this is political. The only reason. And they can't impeach him anyway, because even if they impeach him in the House, it goes to the Supreme Court. There's no precedent. There's no law. They cannot impeach a form, or I'm sorry, let me back up. They can't impeach a sitting president, or I mean, they can't I can't even talk. It's making me upset. They cannot impeach a non-sitting president. Because here's why. Let's just say crazy, because everything else has been going crazy with our courts and everything else, because it appears and looks like a rigged system. But let's just go in for it. Let's say they pass this for whatever God knows reason. Okay. You stop Trump from running. Good job. Good job. Here's the thing. If I am Cruz and I come back and I run, guess what? Now I can go in and go, oh, you know what? Okay. Well, now I can start impeaching Obama or Obama. I can start impeaching the Clintons. I can start impeaching this and this and this. And before you know it, it loses the value of what it originally intended for. So why are we even doing it? If you hate him that much, he's gone. What does it freaking matter? So maybe Stretchface needs to go get some more ice cream and figure out what the heck she's going to do with the rest of her life and go on Medicaid and get the hell out of office. Bring someone in that's legit. Or someone that at least has an idea. I asked, you can ask. I'm serious now. This is just, I'm sorry that was a late rant, but God, I mean, seriously, guys. Like, okay, first of all, here's this. Ask any leftist or demo or however you want to moderate, whoever you want to ask, and just ask them one simple question. If you take Trump out of the equation, okay, what do you have? In 47 years in office, what has Biden done? Zip. If you take out Trump, they have no art. There's nothing to say. He's as boring as being like, if you remember taking a test when you were in high school, the multiple choice test, right? A, B, C, or D. D was like, ew, no, you were dead sure that was the wrong answer, right? You're like, no, forget it. I'm going to mark a D. I'm good, right? A and B were always the ones where you're like, it could be, maybe. And then you regret it, right? And you're like, you know what? I'm just going to go with C. C seems safe. I got a 50-50 shot, right? I kind of feel like the guy is D. And because he ran against Trump was lower than D, but we could have had C, but there was no C, so they reverted to D. I mean, come on. Like, this is what we ended up with. A guy that can't even function. Like, it's craziness. He was caught on a dead mic saying, what am I signing? Like, come on, guys. Like, for real. Good Lord. Anyway, sorry. That makes no sense, basically, is what this whole, my rant went off, but it makes no sense. So, another thing. I don't know, guys. Biden, looks like talks are Biden's starting to send troops to Syria. That was quick. What happened to Trump's plan of bringing troops home? He was the only president not to send someone to war. But yet, within a week, Biden is sending troops to Syria. Like, really? You're basically sending people back because it's in your own self-interest. Let's be real. Okay? Let's be real. Now, another thing that I found interesting that, of course, the media is not talking about is China making advanced movements to Taiwan. When Trump and Pompeo were there, we were avoiding that at all costs, right? Guess what? They're starting to maneuver and move towards Taiwan. Here we go. More future potential wars upcoming because we're going to get drawn into that conflict. I mean, seriously, guys, this is just, I don't even know what to say anymore in regards to that. I don't know. I don't even want to go there. Um, so anyway, I wanted to make this show short and sweet, only because, quite frankly, I had a couple other items that I wanted to discuss, but it just seems like on some of this stuff, discussing them, I just, yeah. I'm sorry to be doom and gloom on this podcast, but it's amazing. However, I did get excited. I did see that Trump, this is always funny. So you know how Biden had the office of the what was it, the pre-elect president or some nonsense crap that we've never seen ever? It was the office of the president-elect. That's what it was. Okay. So I don't know if it's to be a smart aleck or Trump's just messing with him. I have no idea, but he created the office of the president, the former president office or something like that. Like, okay, first of all, that's just funny in general. Only I think it's a subtle dig to our friend, our older senior citizen friend that we all love, right? But we'll see. But I think that's funny. So who knows? That could be a sign for future movements. I mean, honestly, since we know that the sham impeachment is probably not going to go through. I mean, guys, Trump can actually run again. He's got 4 more years. So I don't know. I know. Would you want him back? And if so, in what capacity? I mean, he did do a lot of good things, guys. Could it be where his son runs? Could it be where his daughter runs? Could we have a whole Trump lineage? I don't know. I would like to see a new voice in terms of Ted Cruz, um, McCarthy from California. Now, in the scenario I gave you earlier about the Patriot Party, right? If it is actually happening or not, can you imagine? Let's just say, like a scenario where it does. I mean, I kind of went over it a little bit earlier, but let's say he does run under the Patriot Party. Remember how there was the Independent Party, and I guess a while back, if you all remember, I'm going to be dating myself with age, but Ross Perot ran on the ticket for as an independent, and he got a crap ton of votes for that. So I mean, it's possible. I mean, that's the only way, really. Like, and let's just use this example. If the Patriot Party is to come to fruition, let's just say, for instance, right, and Trump decides that he's going to put his name on that ticket, you're talking, I mean, almost the death or the dissolving of the GOP, like the old guard Republicans. I mean, what's going to happen then? I mean, honestly, right? I mean, you're going to have a lot of the conservative voices. Obviously, I'm a conservative, but you're going to have a lot of the conservative voices, like Gates and McCarthy, those kind of guys. Ted Cruz could be another one that comes over. You're going to start seeing people funneling that movement. So it'll be interesting. I mean, let's just say for whatever reason he doesn't run again, but he puts his name on that party. Remember, we were cheated now. Cheated. I'm doing that for Facebook purposes. I'm going to pause here and there for the algorithms. But let's just say, for instance, you have 74 million or 75 plus million potential base out there with money, right? With good donors. I mean, who's to say that the GOP wouldn't be dissolved? So that if I were the GOP, I'd be to be honest, I'd be looking over my shoulder a little bit if I were them, because you never know. I mean, if he does do that, that'd be very interesting to see, and probably well warranted, right? Maybe you'll get moderates. Maybe you'll get a moderate movement, right, as well. Because who really wants to hook their wagon or hitch their wagon to the radical left? I mean, really. I mean, ideally, if I had a perfect ecosystem for the political parties going forward, I mean, again, we're all Americans, guys. So I mean, if people have different opinions, that's what makes this country so great. However, we don't need to be bought off. We don't need to be sponsored by other countries. Like, we're our own dang country. Let's act like it. I don't care if people have different opinions than mine. I encourage it. I want it. That's what we fought for this right to do. However, like, maybe there needs to be a party where it's moderates and conservatives only. Get away from the old guard and the old way of thinking. This liberal socialism crap, it's never worked. This isn't a new idea, guys. It's been around forever. And it's never worked anywhere. So maybe it's time, right? I don't like her, and I think she's, I made that point abundantly clear. Agent 99 can tell you that, but I mean, oh, God, I don't want to say her name. AOC. There you go. Um, I mean, someone can be like that with a few more brain cells, but I mean, that's possible, right? Use her as a platform, but take away the socialism, communism thoughts of her mind, and find someone like her. Maybe that's the start, right? Or what was that woman's name from? I think she was from Maryland. During the when she was running for Congress out of Maryland. I think it was. Oh no, Baltimore. Excuse me, Baltimore. There you go. Conservative woman, smart, beautiful. She had her own. She created her own commercial that rocked it. I mean, it had like thousands of views. Like that's what we need going forward. None of this people. I mean, these older people have lost touch with their base. I mean, people my age, people older than me, like 10 years, 20 years older than me. These guys can't relate to it. Specifically Pelosi, Schumer, really? Like these guys can't relate to us anymore. Like it's time to move on. That's why term limits need to be enacted. I know Ted Cruz is bringing it up. I'm going to talk more about that in the live tomorrow. But Ted Cruz is bringing that up, right? I think he's promoting longer stretches, though. Go figure. But I think it's 6 years. I think is the 2 6-year terms for a senator. That's still 12 years. To be honest, I think it should be 2 3-year terms. Let's cut it down. Because I mean, okay, look, I'm not advocating because I wouldn't want to run for office. I mean, probably no one would want me to because I have no filter, unfortunately. But at least I would tell you the truth. That's the one benefit, I guess. But anyway, they need people like from hard workers, right? Like, okay, for instance, why is it every politician is a lawyer? Or some successful businessman or however, why don't they get a working class person that really can relate to working class people? That's why Trump did so well, is because he was an oddball. He was completely different than everybody else, and he was not part of the political system. Now, some people would say he had a rough edge or whatever the case may be, but he was different. That's why people voted for him, because he could relate to people. That's what you need now. You don't need people that speak the same speak. Like you literally can turn on. Like look at the last 24 years, guys. You think about where we came from. We had the Clintons for 8 years. Talk about impeachment. Let's start there. He was impeached. I'm sorry, but both of them, for that matter. You had the Bush era, which was even worse. It was like 2.0, basically, right? And then you had the Obamas. You literally had 24 years of political. I'm going to say the same sentence. I'm going to talk the same way. I'm going to look presidential while doing it, but doing the same thing. Trump was completely took them off guard. They didn't know what to do. They tried to kill him at every turn and challenge him, right? And look at, but he created a movement. Now, I still can't fathom that he quit. Like to me, like I'm sorry. I've read his books. I read The Art of War. I mean, it's against his MO. So I mean, if he did, God bless him. I mean, hey, you enjoy your retirement. If they leave him alone, that'd be good, and move on, right? Move on. We have to deal with that guy's presidency. Then we have to deal with it. I think it's funny because people are being very hypocritical about this point now. Because if you remember correctly, when when Trump won, right, there's a lot of people saying, "Oh, he's not my president," right? I don't see conservatives saying, "Oh, he's not my president" for Biden. Am I gonna be shouting off the rooftops that he's in? Heck no. But eventually, at the end of the day, if I'm called the carpet, he is my president. Unfortunately, as painful as it is to say. So I don't know. There's more on that. Let me see here. So that is probably it for me on that. Okay. Preview of next episode. Don't have the title yet for the show. Introducing term limits on both senators and Congress. We'll get more in depth on that. Another sham impeachment. Do we have enough problems to solve than an ex-president? You're setting a precedent going forward. Benghazi, Clinton, etc. Lack of viewing docs. Like all this talk about we're going to declassify all these documentations. Where'd it go? To what extent? We didn't see crap. Or if we did, it was very minimal. But of course, the mainstream media is not going to showcase that as well either. So there's that. final thoughts. Hopefully this all works out. I'm gonna try this platform, see what I can do. If there's any questions, commentaries, I have turned the comments on. I have put out that poll to watch. Please share my video. Get the word out there, please, to help me grow as well, to produce better content for you. Again, this show is dedicated to all the first responders and essential employees. Y'all deserve a shout out. To all my brothers and sisters in the armed forces, both here and abroad, both past and present, stay frosty. Thank you, Salty Dogs, for listening. Feel free to leave me any messages, and I'll play them in future podcasts or commentary. We'll showcase throughout the show on future podcasts. Keep the faith, Salty Dogs. Hold the line for future years. I'm the Salty Sailor. Peace out.